Welcome to Derry is easily one of the best things I've seen this year, and I've got to say this show does not hold back when it comes to brutality. What surprised me though is how it expands on the lore and world, but without losing or ruining the established canon. And let's be real, expanding on it was risky. One wrong move and it could have felt forced or unnecessary, but Welcome to Derry completely exceeded my expectations. Let's get into it. The first thing that really hooked me was just how many layers this series has. It's not just a typical horror show. Sure, you've got these kids being hunted by it, but then you've got this whole military aspect, with soldiers based just outside of town, essentially trying to capture Pennywise. Like that was going to end well. But what really gives this show weight is being set in 1962. The show leans hard into the racial tensions of that era, giving the series way more depth. Now, this series is wild. It starts off with a kid getting into a stranger's car, just trying to leave town. And right off the bat, we're shown Pennywise ain't playing. The brutality throughout the first episode is next level, and I don't think anyone expected those three kids to die in the theatre. But I gotta admit, it really set the stakes for the rest of the season. What I really loved about this series though, is how it focuses way more on Pennywise's shapeshifting, which reminds you that Pennywise is much more than just a clown. We see it taking all these different twisted forms to get under the character's skin, like when Matty Clements climbed out of the tent. I knew he was it immediately. Everything he was saying was such an obvious lie, based on what we know from the movies. However, I liked that it showed that it can easily manipulate people by simply wearing familiar faces. I'm also glad that we got to see more of its past and how it originally gained the form of Pennywise the Dancing Clown, and why it chose that form. Even the psychological stuff was on another level, like when Pennywise tells Will Hanlon his future and that he's gonna burn alive, which is messed up because it's true. Now, I have to ask, did you catch the Easter eggs and family connections throughout the series? Because there were quite a few. Will Hanlon being Mike Hanlon's father was pretty obvious, and the show explains that Marge is Richard Hosier's mother. But did you know that Theodore, who dies in the theatre in the first episode, is actually Stanley Uris's uncle? You've also got Clint Bowers, Henry Bowers' grandfather, and then Dick Halloran being the head chef from The Shining. Looking back, it was kind of obvious, but it didn't actually click till the second to last episode for me. Seeing it confirmed though was incredible, and it's such a cool way to start bridging the Kingverse together. Now, I want to talk about the finale and this timeline stuff because the way the show handles it is pretty crazy. Some people might think that Pennywise is time travelling or simply seeing through time, but it's actually much deeper than that. You see, every time Pennywise wakes up, it isn't just seeing the future, it's experiencing every timeline it's ever existed in simultaneously. Birth, death, and every hunt in between, all happening at once. To it, none of these moments are past or future, they're all present. With each new cycle, Pennywise tries to change the outcome, not to win a single encounter, but to erase the threat entirely by preventing the Losers Club from ever being born. And here's my theory. I think every time he wakes up and messes with things, he changes the timeline slightly. He's altering events as he goes, which means we could eventually end up with a timeline where the Losers Club actually lose, or worse, where they don't exist at all. As for the future of the franchise, based on what was said to Marge in The Fog, I think Season 2 is going to go into this in way more depth. I wouldn't be surprised if the show starts exploring multiple timelines. We already know Season 2 is going to be set in 1935 and Season 3 jumps back to 1908. But I reckon we'll also start to see new storylines unfolding in 1989 and possibly 2016. And that kind of timeline overlap would fit perfectly with the show's larger themes. Either way, we're definitely going to meet more ancestors of the Losers Club. Overall, I think the cast did a fantastic job. Both the kids and adult performances were on point, and Bill Skarsgård's performance as Pennywise was next level. If I'm being honest, I enjoyed this series more than the latest season of Stranger Things. However, I'll save that discussion for a later review. But what about you? What are your thoughts on it? Welcome to Derry. Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? And do you have any theories of your own? Let me know down in the comments, and if you could do me a solid by liking and subscribing, it'd be much appreciated. I hope you all have a great week, and thanks for watching. Until next time peeps, stay frosty.